Guys, it's that time again. Which is better? And it will be between Leviathan by Mastodon and Ashes of the Wake by Lamb of God. And before I continue, I will be leaving links in the description to check out songs by Orange Goblin, and even links to check out my Instagram and Twitter pages. There you get to see what songs I'm listening to, as well as what band merch collection looks like. So looking at the Leviathan album by Mastodon, this album has been described by many listeners as a progressive metal album. Now, this can be true if you like this. You take this into consideration that Mastodon's music is heavy, and it has influences that they take from 60s and 70s progressive rock. This band definitely puts their hearts and guts into the music, and not only just their brains and musical knowledge. And it's sure to me, it's much more interesting to hear a drummer like Brandela going totally insane on the drums with the urge of a hungry wild animal looking for blood. The song Blood and Thunder has a ferocious up-tempo rock and roll with an Iron Maiden on-speed kind of break that can put such a grin on your face. This album grows like a monster, and a song like Sea Beast, from the depths of a fictional ocean it's sitting, it grabs you right in and just starts squeezing. Throughout the Tiptrich / album, songs like Iron Ahab, Sea Beast, Island have a melody and ferocity that walk side by side. In terms of Beauty and the Beast, it's pretty much both. I don't know why, but when I listen to the opening riff of Iron Task, Opeth come to mind. Is there a reason for that? Another great song, a little too short perhaps, but definitely enjoyable. On this one, and especially on Megalodon, Brandela once again shines and rules like never before. Notable, but the weird yet very tastily country guitar break that introduces the second more was part of the song, courtesy of Brett Hins, not forgotten past spent as a leader of a rockabilly band called Fiend Without a Face. After the relatively more relaxed and melody-driven episode that is Naked Burn, that can be seen as a calm before the storm, an unbelievably inspired guitar drum double attack crashes on the listener like waves of a rocky shore in a stormy day, introducing the amazing Aqua Dementia. The uncontrollable stream of notes wrecks your ship, nothing you can do about it, and the song just fades into like an apocalyptic punk attack that kicks you far away from safety. As the chugging riff ending fades away, you're left with Scott Kelly's last abominable scream. Your senses slowly come back, only to realize that you sank with the wreck of your ship, and you're now out for one last claustrophobic nightmare. And you better be ready for this one, because it's going to be a long one. The song Hearts Alive contains probably the best 30 minutes of heavy metal since the album Through the Silver Blood by Neurosis. It's the best way to end an album as adventurous and mystical as this, and one of the most beautiful progressive compositions in metal ever. Daring, intuitive, free-spirited on the drums and guitars, just a build-up of slowly but inevitably the album's closure. We're going to look at Ashes of the Wake by Lamb of God. Now, this band has received lots of accolades and have become one of the darling children of the modern extreme metal scene. Now, you'll probably think this is a lot of hype, but when you really get into it, it really isn't. Although they have been dubbed the new wave of American heavy metal, which seems to have exclusively metalcore connotations to it, nothing wrong with that. This band pretty much picks up where Pantera left off with a groove-heavy take on thrash. While many people claim that this album offers little from its predecessor, in fact, the claim that Lamb of God are showing signs of losing is what makes them original. And it's a point to be debated. Now, metal gatekeepers need to get off the high horse and admit that just because music becomes more palatable to the ear does not necessarily mean it's a loss of heaviness or indicate signs of soul outage. Quite the contrary. The first two things that stand out about this album is the predecessors made it a single-handedly amazing album, and the album that one of the earliest albums that got me into metal. It contains top-notch production and a considerably more refined vocal style. Everything is mixed extremely well, with the dry, crunchy guitars being hammered in place by the extensive ride cymbal bell and the snare and bass drums. As well on this record, Randy Blythe really shows his evolution as a singer. Blythe goes for a discernible, raspy singing approach. Some old shrieks, growls, screams here and there, but they now act more effectively as it accents the music. While this album never lets up with the infectious, dry, palm-muted riffs of guitarists Willie Adler and Mark Morton. There's little else that can be said other than the riffage on this record, but it never lets up. You can't help but bang your head to the chunk 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 on every track. However, while the riffing makes every song solid and consistent, it does little to distinguish one from the other. Chris Adler's work on this album and even previous albums is noteworthy. He uses incredible amount of double bass, but to good effect. Adler goes out of his way to mix up the bass drum patterns and then snap in, weaving and in and around the guitars, and at no point is the drumming overbearing. Blast beats being an extremely rare occurrence, and he doesn't need to. And to be honest, the music is so good that he doesn't even need to add blast beats. Chris's playing is incredibly smooth and tight, almost machine-like. If the riffs were like a sheet of metal, Chris's drumming is enough that would hammer it down. Now, this album isn't the most original sounding, but it's enjoyable and heavy. The band is extremely tight and remains an extreme metal band, but are taking huge strides to making their music both heavy and catchy at the same time. I highly recommend. So there you have it, guys. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought was the better album. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.